So Microsoft and Apple had their some announcement events this past week, and I want to give you my thoughts on the new Surface Studio and the new MacBook Pro. So the Surface Studio was the first product I watched through the Microsoft conference, and they did their updates to their existing products, some cool updates coming to Windows 10 with the Creators Update, which actually that's probably what I'm most excited for, is the Creator Update coming to Windows 10 and the evolution of Windows 10 really becoming an operating system of more than just a place to get work done, but really an operating system that can bring people, creativity, work, business, bringing it all together. And that's something we've already seen in Windows 10 and in the Office suite. Really this open support for personal work, creative, and bringing that together. So it's really cool seeing Microsoft embrace that, because not too long ago they were just really business focused. But back to the new Surface Studio. The first thing that stood out to me was it's $3,000, which automatically puts it above even the Surface Book for most configurations, and you can configure the Surface Studio all the way up almost to $5,000. So it's definitely something that's not going to be for the average consumer, but more something for a person who could justify that for their work. So I think the product in itself is amazing. But for the average consumer, I don't know what's going to make that stand out from, say, an iMac or an all-in-one station you can get for under $1,000 for the average consumer. Now, I think when it comes to the technology that they put into that of the screen, I mean, you're talking about a 28-inch touchscreen with full pen input, and how sleek the design and everything is. It really kind of made me look at, when I watched it, I was like, wow, is this a new Apple product? Because of the way it was presented. All about design, all about the experience, and at a premium price. But it does come with some premium specs too. Just not to the point when, if I look at my entire configuration here, my 3 monitors and my gaming desktop, I'm probably under $2,000 for what I've spent on all this. So if you're looking at it for just pure performance, you could build something with more performance. If you're looking for something from aesthetics standpoint, you're probably going to do like an iMac or something. But if you need Windows, maybe this is kind of your option. So I really think this is really for a person who can justify and needs that full touchscreen with pen input. I would love to have one of these. Just have a big screen that I could do work on, put it down, and draw on and stuff. But I couldn't justify that as just a hobby. I'd have to be making money by doing that. So it's a really cool product, and I could see it fitting some people, but I don't think this will fit everybody as well as their Surface and Surface Book did. Could be wrong, we'll see. It's not actually being released until early 2017. But I will end on a positive note saying I am excited to see Microsoft innovating in this kind of an area. Basically saying we're not just going to release these 2 devices, like we're going to keep releasing these brand new innovative devices that the industry hasn't seen yet. Because when we get to Apple, that'll be my criticism there, is where I see Microsoft every year has released some kind of innovative product. We've had a few that haven't gone through, like the Windows Phone hasn't gone through very well, the Microsoft Band hasn't gone through very well, but we know the Surface and the Surface Book did go through very well. So I like that every year they release a premium product that they're trying to see how well it goes. So jump over to the new Apple MacBook Pro, which there was 3 models. There was the, I don't remember, there was a 13-inch, 15-inch, and I thought they said something about they made like a base version too for consumers. Oh, I see that's not going to stay on the screen, so we'll leave this here. Now, the new MacBook Pro, in essence, is the same design and thing they've been doing for the MacBook Pro and for really their entire product line. It's slightly smaller, it's slightly thinner, it's got slightly better battery life, it's slightly lighter. So there's all these things which they talk up a lot, but and you know, they should talk it up. I mean, they are making improvements, but the problem is that's not Apple innovating. That is Intel and memory manufacturers and technology manufacturers. The people that make the parts that build all the desktops and all the laptops in the world are improving their technology. If those companies weren't improving their technology, then companies like Microsoft and Apple and Google couldn't make better products. So when Apple talks about those kind of things, those aren't their innovations. Those are just technology as a whole is getting better. So what I look for is, what are you doing that's innovative? What have you done that's changed and toying with the ideas of how we can better use technology? And so they came out with the Touch Bar, and that was really what I felt like was the big talking point of the new MacBook Pro. When you start talking about we've redesigned the keyboard, it's like, a keyboard is a keyboard. I mean, maybe if you really want to get particular, but for me, I mean, that's not that big of a thing. But the Touch Bar was something new. So I can see the use of it. So they took out the function keys at the top of the laptop and replaced it with a touchscreen that could be interactive and change based upon the application that you're in. So by default, it would show all the normal like volume controls, brightness, stuff like that. But then as you went to different apps, it would change. And my immediate thought was, this reminded me of the laptops you would get in the early 2000s that had the little capacitive touch buttons at the top that you would, well, I tended to always bump. One of them actually had the disable Wi-Fi button up there, and people would like bump it and disable their Wi-Fi on their laptop. After watching the full keynote on it, watching all of their little demonstrations, I do see how it could be. It does seem to be bringing some of the, like the one thing they showed is as you're typing, it will show recommended words. And for me on a desktop, you know, I'm usually using a mouse and keyboard. It's much easier for me to just use the mouse to, you know, autocorrect or to use those kind of features. But I guess on a laptop, it may be more convenient as you're using the keyboard to just tap that touch bar rather than using the trackpad. So I could see that useful. And then, you know, like when you're in a web browser, like it'll show your tabs at the bottom. But it felt like, I don't know, it felt to me, and maybe I'd have to use it, but it felt like it would be more cumbersome to me. Like, all it's doing is creating a second way. It's fragmenting how you use a machine. So it's saying, oh, you could change your tabs up at the top, or you could use this touch bar. You choose. And what tends to happen when you give something where there's a choice, you always gravitate to the choice that always works. So the touch bar is not always going to be the best solution. And so you gravitate to using the trackpad, what you're used to. I'm sure it'll be great for volume. You know, you can just, you know, slide and toggle, and there'll be some basic controls. I think it'll do very well. But I feel like if I was browsing my pictures, I'm going to browse my pictures using the Finder, not by using touch on a touch bar. I just feel like that's going to be kind of overkill for that. I watched both conferences all the way through, and the other thing that struck me is I felt like, and maybe I'm biased, but I felt like the Microsoft conference was more personal, more engaging, and more social. And what I mean is, they talked a lot about empowering people, and I know all these conferences are about selling their product, pushing their product. You know, that they're making money. They need to make money at the end of the day. But how they present that is, I feel like Windows is on this direction of trying to unify and bring together people using their product, but in a way that it works on all devices. And that's one thing I've really begun to appreciate about Microsoft over the past maybe 3 to 5 years, ever since they've changed their focus, is that they are creating software. They are primarily a software company. They are creating devices, but they're also allowing this stuff to run on multiple platforms. So take Android and iPhone. They're pushing their apps out to there, where you don't see, you definitely don't see Apple pushing out their products and their software to Android or Windows. Google does some with iPhone, and again, Microsoft has to do that to survive as a software company. But that's the idea of for me going forward. The company I'm going to side with is going to be the one that embraces all forms of technology. that can get their software out to all technology. Because if I can't get a piece of software to work with my coworkers and my friends, then I'm not going to use it. I need something that works on whatever device they chose to use. If my friends choose to use a Mac, my coworkers are on, a Chromebook or something like that, I need something that can support all that, so that we have this unified communication. And the Microsoft conference was talking a lot about that. This idea of being able to communicate with people how you want to communicate with people, not locking you in. Although Windows 10 technically you can talk to other people on all the platforms you want as long as you use Windows. So I get it. It's still kind of a walled garden. But at least their walled garden has ways to get out. And I like the technology advancements that Microsoft is pushing. They've always been known for pushing these really big ideas and not always following through with them. So I really hope we see things like the HoloLens follow through in the next year or so. I know they announced in 2017 there will be low-priced virtual reality goggles released by like HP and their other partners. So that's going to be really exciting to see a $200 to $300 virtual reality piece that you can put on that will run Windows and be able to engage in some virtual reality that's not super expensive. That was my thoughts after watching both of those conferences, and yeah, we'll see what happens later on this year as they continue to push out those products and what happens. But I felt like on this presentation, this conference, Microsoft really brought it with products and the way they presented themselves. So thanks very much for watching this video. We'll talk to you in the comments.